Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you're having a good night. If you haven't already, please take a second just to
smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell,
just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So let's get straight to it.
So what are the chances in 2016 they released this movie, The Purge, election year, and now 2023, on election year, we have what seems to be a purge? It's weird how this keeps happening with every movie. If you live in Pittsburgh, things are not okay, and the problem is we don't know where this is going to spread to. But basically, police are not responding to calls between 3 and 7 a.m., the worst hours for crime, burglary, etc., for non-emergency crimes. These non-emergency crimes are theft, burglary, even harassment. At 4 o'clock in the morning, how many times has a burglary gone wrong? For 6 police stations in the city, they will only have about 22 officers available to cover the overnight shift. So if you call 911 and you're being burglarized, they're going to transfer you to a call center to take notes on how it's going. And the person in charge of this mess is literally going to be throwing captchas at the victims in the middle of the night. It's not that we won't respond to alarms, it's that we'll require there to be a second verification, a second form of authenticity. I remember when these shortages started is when they were trying to defund the police. So if you're in one of those cities that was playing those shenanigans a couple years ago, I suggest you guys get armed. And who knows how many places this is going to spread to. What you are witnessing happening in America is absolute insanity. With this, with politics, with everything. Insanity. If any of y'all live in Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania, let me know in the comments how you feel about this.
Shout outs to Pittsburgh. Peace and blessings. Yo, this parallel with that movie is crazy. Let me know what you think.
Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan Tate have been arrested again. It's all thanks to Aiden Ross, the popular kick streamer. See, apparently the women who are suing Andrew Tate for the current criminal cases he's tied up in now alerted their lawyers that they received a leak or some information, a tip, that Andrew Tate had plans to flee the country very soon. Now, this is not allowed on conditions of Andrew and Tristan's bail. But where did this information, this leak, come from? One of the live streams from Aiden Ross on Kick, where he apparently read out a text message that he got from Andrew Tate telling Aiden he had plans to leave the country soon. Next thing you know, they let their lawyers know, who tells the government, hey, go ahead and issue that warrant and detain him right now, which they did. And man, oh man, Andrew Tate, both of the Tate brothers for that matter, cannot be happy with Aiden Ross right now.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure he's not happy at all.
So listen, let's just talk about the Tate thing. I spoke to Tate, and I literally, yes, I'm going to take accountability. I fucked up, okay? I really, really fucked up. And Andrew Tate's team confirmed that I fucked up, and Tate told me, right? I fucked up, and thank God he did not get put back in there because I would have felt really guilty. Tate had spoke to me and he said, dude, just come to Romania. I want to give my people and your people what they want to see. Let's do some content. You're okay, and I forgive you. Because I apologize. I felt really fucking bad, bro. Like, really bad. And I really, really feel bad about that, and I'm sorry. I honestly did not mean for that to happen. My motive and my reason speaking about location was because I didn't want to get swatted. So I basically, which was really stupid. I really fucked up, and I'm sorry. What did I do? I basically, I'll show you the clip. This is what I did. Can I get the clip, please? And Aiden updates. Of course you fucked me. Andrew had hit me up. He said, hey, I'm going to be leaving Romania soon and probably never coming back. If you want to come over and do a week of long streams and content before I leave, I think it'll be big. And I'm sorry, he said it's basically now or never. So, and this is just, I told you guys this year, it's a week of content, right? And again, guys, it might be the last time we ever do this. So it's kind of like we got to take advantage of it now because, hey, bro, it's basically like, yeah, it's like that.
We don't know As far as we know, this investigation was already closed. We don't know if this investigation is reopened, if there is any new evidence submitted by the authorities. There are only legal suppositions at this moment.
Yo, that's crazy. That whole video got flagged and it was a wrap.
So not only were Andrew Tate and his brother arrested today in Romania, March 12th, he also called the exact predicament that's happening right now. Now, before I show you that, let me show you what he said right before he got arrested.
I want to make something clear. I was saying this morning on Twitter how John Cena, yesterday at the Oscars, was doing his humiliation ritual.
So I can't show you the whole video on this platform. Basically, he was saying that the John Cena thing was a humiliation ritual and he was doing it to please his masters. Now remember this, Andrew Tate, detained in Romania, handed UK arrest warrant. Watch this.
I don't say this publicly. As we speak right now, the UK is trying to put me in jail. England, because Romania has failed, so England is picked up. And England's coming up to me with all this garbage, and they're going to try and charge me soon with some imaginary crimes.
Maybe it's why they dropped the documentary.
Well, there you go. Of course, because you have to poison the public mind.
Yep. To believe that you
to
are.
believe that, right? So the UK is trying to put me in jail. And I'm saying this now on this podcast. Everyone listen to me. The UK is coming next. Romania's failed. UK's picked it up.
You know, I didn't know if we could trust Andrew Tate or not. He doesn't know God, that's apparent. But it does seem that he is for us. And the developments with Haiti and Ryan Garcia right now are absolutely insane. We'll talk about that later. What do y'all think? Andrew Tate for us or not?
I really don't know. I do think that it's a coincidence that after that boxer went public with certain things, that this happens, right? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below.
Don't think for 1 second that TikTok getting banned is for our safety. Do not think that, because those are lies. You really think right now, like really think about it. The way the United States is, the way our government is, how high healthcare is, how many homeless people there are. Do you really think with all the issues going on in our worlds, right? Not in our worlds, in the United States right now, that they are really gonna do all that they can to ban TikTok for our well-being and for our safety? Really, make that make sense. The reason why you are banning TikTok and have not stopped to ban TikTok is because you know that us, the American people, are getting very knowledgeable on this app, and we are uncovering the government's lies. We are getting together to do crazy things that we have never done before, like boycott companies, bring stocks down. We're realizing how much better it is to live outside of the country, because we've been getting told since the day we were born that this is the country of dreams, this is the American dream, this is the best country in the world. That they're like, oh shit, like people are not working out here for us. Like they're working here for themselves now. Like they don't like that. We're learning how horrible the food is, how much poison is in the food, how they cause cancer, how they cause autism, how they cause all these things. And we're separating ourselves from that, and we're finding more of a holistic approach, more of an organic approach to things, and they don't like that. They are they realize that like, damn, like on this app, we can't filter things. So they are getting so much knowledge because we cannot filter it, because if they could filter it, it would turn into a Instagram, Facebook, it would turn to these other platforms. But since this platform is not owned by the United States, they can't do anything to it. And that's how we have been gaining so much knowledge, and they are shitting themselves. We are learning so much, and we have learned so much on this app. They're shitting themselves, and that's why they're doing everything, well, not everything in their power, because it's done. Like, TikTok's gonna get banned. It just goes to show that our government is not for the people like they claim. They claim all this shit, but it's a lie. You guys have to wake up and realize that they're not for the people. They could care less about us. They have all this energy into banning TikTok, but where's this energy for our homeless people? Where's this energy for bringing healthcare prices down? Where's this energy for everything? Like, everything is so expensive nowadays. People are barely surviving. They can barely pay their rent, their groceries, daycare, healthcare, gas, insurance. They're gonna ban TikTok. Here's my Snapchat, my Instagram, my YouTube. Go and follow me on there.
Shout outs to the brand fam. Yo, make sure you go show them some love. And she makes an excellent point. Like, this thing did go by fast. And we do have a lot that we're dealing with that I feel should have more attention. So I definitely feel her passion and vigorosity on this subject. What do you think? Do you agree with her? Let me know in the comments down below.
Dean, what do you think of the TikTok ban, and do you think TikTok is going away?
Okay, firstly, I don't have an idea. I don't know if it's going away. But really what's going on, what I can talk about is, the big, understand what's going on. So they just passed just now in the House. So, everyone pretty much knows the process, right? You guys have to pass the House, pass the bill, has to get sent to the Senate has to pass it, and it'll go on,
to the president,
to Biden's desk to sign, which he already said he would sign, which is kind of interesting on that note, because he goes, yeah, if he comes to my desk, I'll sign it. But if not, I'm still going to use it. That's kind of weird. But
use TikTok?
That's what he said. He's using it to promote his campaign. He goes, if the ban hits my desk, approved by the Senate and the House, that's the only way it's hit his desk. He'll sign it, then it becomes into law, and then we'll see what happens. But I think, I have a two-part answer, like what's going on, but let's talk about like the specifics right now, right? It's not going to be gone tomorrow, and besides, I haven't read the bill. I don't know, the bill's out there, you can read. I haven't read it yet, but it doesn't mean just boom, it's a ban. It's requesting TikTok be divested from ByteDance. It separates the ownership, right?
They just don't want Chinese ownership.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen like that. Even if it does pass, there's going to be a process where there is a date where it gets banned, because you have to give them time to divest, right? And I don't have the data in front of me. I don't, other than just listening to commentaries and opinions about it. But there's a lot of American investors, whether it be private equity, institutions, whatever, that are invested in TikTok. So there's that dynamic. But as far as like, is it right to ban it, whatnot? Okay, so here's my opinion on that. Okay, to me, these are the facts. Okay. Whether it gives you an answer or not, I don't know. But number one, to me, what's important? There's no question the Chinese government, China in itself, Xi Jinping and his cronies, right? They don't play fair. They've never played fair. They never will play fair. And they're out to topple us as a superpower. Them and Russia are like buddies, and Iran, whatever. Because it's like, there's two groups in this world. There's the Western democracies, whatever, and them. Right? And they don't like us, and China doesn't play fair. It's no question. They never have, and they never will. So that's one, blacklist against China, right? As far as the risks, my personal opinion, I don't really, they have all our data. They can go into our data. But to me, is the risk people's personal information? No. I think the risk really is, with TikTok being under the purview or control of the CCP, is that they can control narratives. I think that's a valid risk. I think that when there's like public opinion about something, they can guide it a certain way. And TikTok, 170, half the country are active users. So there's definitely a risk to the country. There's no question. With the Communist Party driving the ship on what's the topic of the day, what's the topic of discussions, right? There's no question about that. This is what Russia tried to do in our past elections, and is probably doing it right now. They're trying to control narratives. Right? So that's a risk, because if you look at what social media is nowadays, it's not factual. It just, everyone gets plastered with something and they think one thing. Yeah. And there it goes. It runs like, like a,
wildfire.
Exactly.
Spreads like wildfire.
Yeah. What if they're trying to spread, and what are these countries famous for doing to us? Discord. They're not gonna, steal your information. They're trying to make us fight with each other.
Chaos.
And guess guess where we're at today? How's this country today?
So divided.
Freaking fighting, so divided. It's just gonna so that's a risk, right? And the other risk, the other thing that I look at is, you do this, you're basically trying to say like, hey, this country, free country, can pick winners and losers by laws. The government can pick winners and losers, right? So what can China do against us, right? How much American companies are doing business in China? What if they did that? You think they're just going to sit there and like, oh yeah, sorry, okay. No. What if they ban Tesla? They ban Apple. They ban Facebook from China. These are American companies that have American employees that may be affected, because China's a ginormous market. We're in this global economy. nowadays it's like Eddie Ardeni always says, like, you can't decouple it. So you do one thing on one side to them, they're going to get you back because we're connected. So that's that risk. So, to me, it's like, I think there are definitely good reasons to have it divest, but realistically, is that going to ever happen? I don't think so. Is China going to divest is TikTok going to get divested away from ByteDance? I don't think that's a reality that come to fruition from this law. That's not going to happen, right? Even if it does, right? China, you think the divestiture, you think separating TikTok from ByteDance is going to change the Chinese government's influence? God, no, come on. There's no way. They're still going to have their hands in it. So what does this achieve? I don't know. Is it, I think that the idea is good. The risks are there, but there's many smarter people to come up with the solution. I don't necessarily think this is the solution. I don't think the end result of this is going to get us to eliminate those risks that I just mentioned. I don't think so. And some other people who are 10 times smarter than me probably can explain that better, can have a better answer than I do.
Got it.
So.
Yeah, shout out to Alexis and Dean. Hey, Dean, man, that was a great answer, man. And I agree with you. I don't think any of us really know. The risks are there, like you said. Is this the way? I feel there could be other ways as well. We have smart people coming with great solutions, right? But man, it's always good to hear from an OG. What do y'all think? Do y'all agree with Alexis and Dean? Let me know in the comments down below.
I was doing my own research on the Titanic conspiracy theory, trying to figure out if I could prove it or not. And I accidentally wound up making one of my most dangerous and important videos. Cause I started here, and I wound up here. And if you don't know what this is, today you're gonna learn some stuff. So there's this conspiracy theory that JP Morgan back in the early 1900s had something to do with the sinking of the Titanic because he wanted the Federal Reserve to get started. And 3 of the most powerful people that opposed the Federal Reserve were on the Titanic when it sank. And there's a lot of meat on that bone, and I wanted to see if I could find that evidence for myself instead of just believing a conspiracy theory. Plus, anytime you see the fact checkers come out in droves, you're on the right track. But it got me to thinking, where did this term conspiracy theory even come from? Surely it wasn't created by someone like the CIA to discredit people that were seeking the truth and asking questions. I mean, it turns out that believing conspiracy theories is correlated to lower analytical thinking, low intelligence, psychological projection, paranoia, and Machiavellianism. Okay, let's do some lower order thinking. I mean, you could use your dumb ape brain to look up the Pike Committee or the Church Committee, which were both held in the 1970s. They uncovered programs like MK Ultra, where the CIA was trying to learn to mind control people by torturing them and in some cases killing them. American citizens, prisoners, people in mental institutions. Oh, they also uncovered COINTELPRO, where they were infiltrating organizations like the Black Panthers, Martin Luther King, feminist organizations, environmental activism. Oh, and then there was Project Shamrock, where the major telecommunications companies were giving all of our information to this NSA. Yeah, that was long before the Freedom of Information Act. But conspiracy theories are generally designed to resist falsification, like having public congressional hearings where they are exposed to be true, like in Operation Mockingbird, where the CIA paid journalists to publish fake shit, like the Gulf of Tonkin, where they used a false flag or fake attack to start a war. Never heard of that before. Or like where they had a fully staged testimony by this gal who was a Kuwaiti girl that witnessed an atrocity that built support for the Persian Gulf War that didn't really happen. I mean, the Persian Gulf War definitely happened. Just ask all those people that made money from it. I mean, conspiracy theorists aren't always right, but when they say something sounds like a false flag, it's probably worth at least doing some due diligence. So if you don't know what COINTELPRO is, today's going to change the way you see the world. It's shortened for Counterintelligence Program, and it's basically a term to refer to intelligence agencies like the FBI, CIA, or foreign ones like for Russia or China, subverting organizations that they feel are subversive, infiltrating, discrediting, causing division. publishing fake news, fake stories, assassinations, basically any means necessary in modern warfare to undermine organizations. Confirmed lists of organizations that were victims of COINTELPRO include feminist organizations, Communist Party USA, Martin Luther King Jr., Nation of Islam, a bunch of leftist organizations up there, but also right organizations like the Ku Klux Klan. Should I say that on TikTok? Like the Nationalist States Rights Party. In 1971, the FBI financed and armed a extremist group that they basically used as their secret army to attack other organizations. And this is literally only what's made it onto Wikipedia. You can do your own research. There's a lot more than this. This isn't even talking about the 90s and 2000s. And that's because Hoover totally shut it down once everyone found out. Like, over. Packed it all up and left. The FBI compiled an entire tape of blackmail on Martin Luther King and sent it to him with a letter that tried to convince him to commit suicide. And that was just a fucking conspiracy theory until some homies broke into an FBI field office and actually took a bunch of documents that showed it was real. Again, that is just the tip of the iceberg here. Blackmail is running our country to this day. Journalists and news agencies have always played a big role in covert intelligence operations against us, the people, often with explicit consent from management of America's leading news organizations. The point of COINTELPRO is to create negative public image for target groups, to break down internal organization by creating conflicts, create dissension between groups, to restrict access to public resources, to restrict their ability to organize, to restrict the ability of individuals to participate by discrediting certain individuals. You starting to make any connections yet to modern day? They infiltrate organizations, and they conduct psychological warfare by publishing false media stories and leaflets under the name of target groups. They spread misinformation about meetings and basically co-opt target groups. Officers of the law give perjured testimony and present fabricated evidence as pretext for false arrests and wrongful imprisonment. They pay for the creation of documentaries that paint groups in negative lights. I'm sure you've seen a few of those. You might have even thought they were real. Let's remember, these guys are really good at what they do. You're playing checkers. They're playing chess. Oh, and sometimes they just stop fucking around and just, get it done. So in light of all of that, let's piss some people off and challenge some people's perceptions. So let's remember that intelligence agencies that are often beyond governmental oversight have decades of experience at infiltrating and subverting dangerous political organizations on both the left and the right. And they do so by a variety of very complex tactics. Now, can you think of anything that might have possibly been done a little better with recent movements by the left? Like maybe a few mistakes were made, maybe a few pallets of bricks left out. I don't know. I'm not claiming I know what goes on. I'm just saying, and all you bozos on the right, I mean, we got lots of different things to choose from, but do some research. And let's be clear, the right to protest is very important. I'm not criticizing either side for protesting for their beliefs. What I'm saying is that in both of these instances, the protests turned into mobs that were then led to do things that discredited their own point and ultimately worked against them in big ways. Not to mention creating a lot of division between the left and right while we were at it. So I'm gonna leave you with the breadcrumb that I think leads to the next opening of this big picture. And it's a little complex, so pull out your thinking cap. So in December 2012, the FBI released a bunch of documents because of the Freedom of Information Act about how they had been surveilling and using COINTELPRO on Occupy Wall Street. Occupy Wall Street was pretty damn peaceful. They weren't a violent threat to anyone. They were a monetary threat. They were people waking up to the corporatocracy that rules this world. And then in 2020, Katie Ryder had a unique visit from a bunch of FBI agents that had information that they only could have gotten in one way. She had discussed a proposed ban on tear gas on a private 90-minute Zoom call with Bayer, the mega corporation that owns Monsanto, and a handful of other staffers. Writer says the two officers refused to answer any questions about how they had become aware of this private meeting. Who on that call might have maybe had interests aligned with the intelligence agencies? It's not the 1970s anymore. The deep state is very well evidenced, and they've been operating for quite some time outside of public oversight. And the more I utilize my lower order thinking and low intelligence, the more it seems like maybe the people controlling this world aren't actually our elected officials. Maybe there are other alliances more powerful and with more influence than our elected officials. I mean, call me crazy. Who knows? So I never did figure out what the fuck happened to the Titanic, but I'm sure we'll still get to that. And just a disclaimer, TikTok, please don't censor this video. That is all public information, mostly on Wikipedia. It's not a secret. This is definitely not misinformation. And government, CIA, anyone else like that, y'all guys, this is just for educational purposes. I'm not calling for revolution. I'm not calling for violence. I'm not doing any of that. I'm not far right or far left. I'm just some dude trying to read Wikipedia because I didn't pass high school and I'm trying to catch up on my education. Because this all started when...
Remember, it all started when he was doing his research on the Titanic. What a deep dive he went into. Crazy. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Very educational.
That will essentially ban TikTok has just passed the United States House of Representatives. And it wasn't even close. But before you freak out, this is not over. TikTok is not going anywhere just yet. This bill is not going to become law today. So I'm going to explain what's next in a second, which is very important. But first, the final vote on H.R. 7521, the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act, was 352 to 65. One member voted present. The Republicans got this over the finish line with 197 yes votes and 155 Democrat yes votes. 50 Democrats voted no, and so did 15 Republicans. 14 members were not voting on this bill today. Now, because of the special procedures used to fast-track this bill to the House floor, the bill needed 2/3 majority, which obviously you can see it got. Now, here's the thing. This bill will now move on to the United States Senate, and in order for it to become a law, it has to pass in the Senate, and then the president has to sign it. President Biden has already said he will sign this bill if it gets to his desk, so that's not a question. But what is a question is whether this bill can get the 60 votes it needs to pass in the Senate. Right now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he's not in any rush to fast-track this bill the way they did in the House. He said this bill will face the normal Senate timing, which includes several procedural votes and more than 30 hours of debate on the Senate floor. On top of this, the Senate is going to be on recess 3 of the next 6 weeks, and they quite honestly have bigger fish to fry right now, including the budget bill to avoid a government shutdown on March 22nd and funding for Ukraine and Israel, which is really important to the Senate Majority Leader. Now, I also want to make it very clear, supporters of this bill keep stressing over and over and over again, this is not a ban on TikTok. They say this bill just simply forces the Chinese-owned parent company of TikTok, ByteDance, to divest or sell its interest in TikTok to another company the U.S. government determines is not owned by a foreign adversary.
They are one step closer to banning TikTok after this bill just passed. The vote was 352 to 52. And we all know the reason why they're trying to ban TikTok now. You know, freedom of information, people making more money than they ever made in their lives off of an app. And you know, certain people couldn't have that now, could they? And it's not looking pretty for TikTok because the next step is the Senate floor. Now, TikTok already had a conversation with the Senate, and how can I put this? It wasn't pretty. And after the Senate vote is one next step, which is the presidential action. And Jiggy Joe already said if it's left up to him, he's going to NBA Jam 360 dunk TikTok. So it's not looking good. Now they say they're trying to ban TikTok because of national security with the Chinese, right? What about the land that the Chinese own by the military bases? Aren't they passing bills for that? Now my hypothesis is they're going to shut down TikTok and we're going to find another app to continue to do what we do. Y'all know what that is. And it's going to get so overwhelmed that they're going to have to pull the plug. If you know, you know. Y'all, let me know what y'all think about TikTok being a step closer to total annihilation in the comments. Like or follow for more wisdom and stay tuned Follow me on all these other social medias, because if TikTok go down, y'all still stay tapped in with the information. Like and follow for more wisdom, and stay tuned. It's getting ugly out here, family.
I agree. Like I said in the last video, man, TikTok, there'll be another app. Everyone moved it in. If you know, you know. So make sure y'all go follow Wisdom Blast 2.0. Show them some love.
Have you ever wondered why the witches were the first ones to get burnt during the onset of slavery and colonization? And if you are a woman, I'm sure you've also wondered why patriarchy hates women so much, why most religions treat women with disrespect, and why all politics exclude women from leadership. Well, there's a reason for all of that. By now, I'm sure we all know that the Bible is made up of different ancient mythologies, which are basically droplets of truth that were combined together to make one big ocean of lies. In the Bible, we are told that God created two people, and I want you to not give these two people gender yet. One was created first, and the reason was because they were God's co-creator, meaning they would help God create. Then the second one was created to be a companion and to toil the lands in order to provide, so God's co-creators would have an easy time co-creating. The one who was to toil the lands was given muscles for the physical lands, and the one who was to help God co-create was given muscles for the spiritual realm. One was made to be very strong on land, while the other one was made to be very strong in the spiritual realm. Men are very physically strong in the exact same way that women are very spiritually strong. The way a woman would never fight a man, it would seem unfair in the physical reality, is the exact same way a man would never go against a woman in the spiritual reality. So the reason why witches, which were just normal women, were banned was because in order for you to invade a premises, you must first seize and completely disarm the watchmen and the surveillance unit. Because in order to enslave the world, one must first enslave women and set the system in a way that keeps them enslaved for centuries. All systems of oppression are connected.
Yo, shout outs to Sweri _Nayar _Kano, SWIRI _NYAR _KANO. Title, remember who you are. Yo, man, that was some deep stuff right there. I appreciate the perspective. You know, sometimes you just need a different point of view to understand certain things. Word.
Witches, study this TikTok. It is an example of what makes a great magic ritual. If this guy created a petition before he started his DJ set, aka ritual, then that petition has a very high chance of coming to fruition. The textbook way of doing magic ritual is to first put in your intention, and it's called a petition, and then you do magic ritual to implant that intention inside your brain. You're trying to bypass your conscious brain. Now, most people, they fuck up the petition, then they fuck up the ritual. My previous TikTok talks about what makes for a good petition. Now let's talk about what makes for a good magic ritual. Fake it till you make it is amateur hour compared to what magic ritual, when done correctly, can do for you. Because magic ritual is supposed to be so ecstatic that it bypasses all the sort of like voices in your head, and it goes straight into, hacks right into your subconscious so that you become the thing. It's a foregone conclusion that the thing that you wanted to happen, the requests that you put in, the intention you put in, is gonna happen. There's no way it can't happen because it literally is. You are what it is. Unfortunately, most people suck at doing rituals because to do an effective ritual, you need to be in something that modern psychology calls flow state. And this was something studied deeply by the late Dr. Mihei Csikszentmihalyi, who was professor emeritus at University of Chicago. Basically, Dr. Csikszentmihalyi was wondering, why is it that top-level athletes, musicians, just anybody doing hard shit but making it look easy, even though it's super fucking hard, how are they able to do it? And he found that all these people, what they had in common was that they were in a flow state, which is where people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. The experience is so enjoyable that people will continue to do it even at great costs. Our ancestors recognized it, they called it ecstasy, and they leveraged it in magic ritual. Modern psychology calls it flow state, whatever you want to call it, the vocabulary doesn't matter. The point is that it is an altered state of consciousness. You become a different person, and therefore you make different decisions when you are in a flow state. And when you make different decisions, your world changes. That's why it's so important to get into this flow state. Some people get into flow state through music, sports, cooking. However, getting into flow state when you're doing quote-unquote ordinary activity can be a bit difficult because your brain is just like, oh, this is just ordinary activity, versus flow state is extraordinary. And that's why magic ritual is my favorite way of getting into flow state, because your brain is literally going to be like, holy shit, this is extra. This is literally the definition of extraordinary. Now, a lot of people think that, oh, that means in magic you need to be constantly, I don't know, like sacrificing animals or something like that. No. I've talked about how in previous magic rituals I have been on roller coasters to create that extraordinary flow state. Some people utilize orgasms and sex magic very effectively. Now, I prefer magic ritual like this because it feels badass, and my brain, when I do this, is literally just like, okay, this is so out of the ordinary, this is so extraordinary, I don't even know what to do about this. My brain then just decides to completely shut off. It opens up, and then crazy shit happens. But I mean, technically, you could just be sipping tea, but being in such a meditative state that you are having a peak experience. You are having the flow state. But for the average person watching TikToks, watching graphic, violent things on news from the time we were young, watching like super ADHD-inducing YouTube videos, Pornhub, all that stuff, it's made it so that our brain chemistry, I don't think that being able to meditate even deeply is enough these days to get into that flow state. This is why I say that you gotta have all the tools, okay? You gotta do the meditation, you gotta do the journaling, you gotta do all that. And add in the magic. You gotta add in the magic because we need to adjust ourselves to the modern context. So what you wanna do is you wanna create the right sort of petition, and we went over this in previous TikToks of mine. You wanna create the right sort of petition, and then you want to do that ecstatic ritual to get into flow state so that it becomes enmeshed, that petition becomes enmeshed in you. You get a petition that's on point, and you get a ritual that puts you in flow state, you are fucking unstoppable.
Some very interesting stuff right there. Flow state. I think what caught my attention was the DJ in front of the candles. It's like, is that what they be doing at the concerts? Very interesting stuff. Highly informative. Shout outs to Cha We Cool. CHAWEONKOO. Yeah, man. It's cool. She was able to bring the science with it. Good stuff. Let me know what you think about it, the flow state, in the comments down below.
There is no such thing as a coincidence. The fact that you're watching this video means you are energetically aligned with me and reality shifting. I'm sure you've heard a lot about it in movies, TikTok videos, YouTube, but in reality, we are always reality shifting. No millisecond is the same as the previous millisecond. It only seems like your reality was the same reality as the day before because you are the same energetic match to yesterday's reality. You're thinking the exact same thoughts. Remember, your life can change in 1 second. So to reality shift or quantum jump to a better timeline, you just change your thoughts, frequency, and vibration. My favorite quote, show me your new vibration and I'll show you miracles. The universe. To learn more, visit the link in my bio and watch my free step-by-step video lesson on reality shifting.
Shout outs to Grand Rising app. That was William Knight talking about quantum physics. You know, that, the universe changing your vibration, your frequency, your thoughts. It's good shit. Let me know what you think in the comments down below.
This is so crazy to me. There's actually scientific proof that humans are not physical beings, and that in fact, nothing in our universe is physical or solid. This is a picture of a quark. So quantum physics tells us that everything is fundamentally made up of atoms. Everything in our universe is made up of atoms that are made up of electrons, neutrons, and protons. And protons and neutrons are made up of quarks. And electrons are made up of leptons. But what are quarks and leptons made of? They're made of nothing. Quarks and leptons are just pure energy. Quarks and leptons are fast-moving points of pure energy. They're made up of literally nothing. They are nothing. So that means that at the fundamental core of the atom, and therefore at the fundamental core of everything in our universe, there is no material there. It's just pure energy. It's energy vortices. You are just energy vortices. Energy is only transformed. It's neither created nor destroyed. So this energy that is you and that is everything persists forever. It is immortal. So this means that you're not just a temporary flesh sack that lives for 80 years, then dies forever. You are the same energy as everything in our universe. So this means that humans are purely eternal spiritual beings, and that the physicality and solidity of everything is just an illusion. You are an immortal divine being, and next time you feel alone, just know that you can't be alone because you literally are one with everything, because you are everything.
So that means I don't gotta pay rent, right? Nah. But yeah, I love pseudoscience, quantum theory and all that. It's real interesting stuff. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below.
Did you ever fry an egg on a cold stove? It's no trick at all if you have the right equipment. This is a cold hot plate. And because it's cold, you can make it out of wood, if you like. Just be sure that there's a coil of wire inside and that you connect that coil to a high voltage alternating current source. The rest is easy. As long as we're being different, we'll use motor oil instead of Crisco. The egg fries very quickly. The stove remains perfectly cold. In fact, if you wish to keep it handy, you can fry your egg on the morning newspaper. With a gadget like this, you can get up in the morning, sit on the stove, read the morning newspaper, and fry the eggs in your lap.
But we don't just see this golden ratio sequence on a small scale. This ratio is the mathematical sequence in the spirals of our storms, tornadoes, hurricanes. These all spin in this golden sequence, 1 to 1.6. Even the waves can be measured using this ratio. But it doesn't stop there. Modern technology continues to be mystified by the far-reaching scope of the golden ratio. From the alignment of the planets to the spirals of our Milky Way galaxy, as well as the spirals of other ratios in planets. Now let's take this closer to home. I want you to hold out your arm and look at the distance between your shoulder and your elbow, and then from your elbow to your fingertips. Notice how your elbow, from your shoulder to your elbow is 1, and then from your elbow to your fingertips is 1.6. Pretty crazy, huh? But it doesn't stop there. Now take that further. The distance from your fingertips to your wrist is 1, and from your wrist to your elbow is 1.6. Keep it going. From the furthest tip of your finger to the bottom of your fingers is 1, and from the bottom of your fingers to your wrist is 1.6. Now check out the spacing of your knuckles, 1 to 1.6. Are you getting freaked out yet? Think about this. The head to your belly button, 1, and then belly button to your feet, 1.6. From your toes to your knees, and from your knees to your hips, golden ratio. Ever wonder why your 2 front teeth are so much bigger? Golden ratio. The pupils of your eyes, I mean, you name it, your whole body is the symphony of the golden ratio. In fact, as you are listening to this video, the sound waves are passing through your ear in a perfect golden spiral. Scientists have discovered that the golden ratio pattern is necessary for the human brain, the neural system, our sense organs, and our lung system. The golden ratio sequence is even in the helix of our DNA, and it forms the very rhythm of our heartbeat pattern. This is pretty amazing. amazing if you ask me. The universe is an incredible place. And to think that these beautiful intricacies of the world all hang on a stacked razor's edge with the incomprehensible fine-tuning of all these precise constants and quantities which allow the universe to begin to exist. I mean, it's unfathomable. No wonder we are naturally bent to worship a higher creative power. I mean, we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we live in a universe that is designed and hardwired to be life permitting. I mean, speaking of which, I think it's interesting that the golden ratio also comes up in the ancient biblical text. Scholars have noted that when you consider design measurements of things like Noah's Ark and the Ark of the Covenant, the golden ratio is an exact match to the measurements. Pretty interesting. Okay, so we've seen how the golden ratio is embedded into our life and even into our own heartbeat. So naturally, it's going to affect our aesthetics and the arts. It is believed that the Greeks used the golden ratio to achieve ideal acoustics, and many instruments are actually designed with the ratio. When you look at the amount of black keys and white keys on a piano, it should be no surprise that you see the golden ratio, and that's because the musical scales and notes align with the Fibonacci sequence. So scientists, mathematicians, and artisans have been aware of the golden ratio and have been incorporating it into their architectural and artistic designs throughout history. For some reason, designs tend to look better when composed and designed with the golden ratio. Look at iconic, ideal Greek temples like the Parthenon in Athens. You can see that they use the ratio again and again. Painters have also been incorporating the golden ratio into their artistic designs because it gives the composition a je ne sais quoi. Leonardo da Vinci was obsessed with it. So was Michelangelo. Even in the 20th century, you see ratios being used in painting, whether it be in the dimensions of the canvas or the placement of the focal point. And by the way, the golden ratio is one of the reasons artists don't like to line everything up in the center. But you don't have to go to Greece or to the Louvre to appreciate the golden ratio in human design. I mean, just look around your house or go to the grocery store. The golden ratio is used in product design, logos, and in branding all the time. It's a ratio that, for some reason, is pleasing on the eye, and it can be a great template for solving multiple design problems. I remember when I first started learning about the golden ratio, I began to see it everywhere. And it's really remarkable with how it comes up in nature and in the design world, and how artists can greatly improve their designs by using its sequence. So now that you know about this mysterious sequence that pops up again and again, now go out, and I want to challenge you to go and look and find places where you see this ratio. You don't necessarily have to take around a measuring stick, but take pictures and notice where you see this ratio come up in design and in nature, and I think you will be surprised. And perhaps even this newfound awareness, it might even change your life.
Yeah, that was incredible. The golden ratio. Always heard about it, never really understood it. Starting to pick up on it, but it's still very interesting stuff. Right? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below.
Are there portals to hell here on the earth? Well, Jesus spoke about the gates of hell. Listen to this. The north of Prague in the Czech Republic, there's a Gothic castle with no water, no kitchen, no fortifications, no record of anyone ever living there. History tells us that there was a massive gaping hole that was believed to lead to hell itself, and the castle was constructed to keep what's inside from coming out. During construction, prisoners were offered a full pardon if they would allow themselves to be lowered into the hole, but after the first one came out, no one wanted to go in because he came out screaming, having aged dramatically, years taken off of his life when you looked at him. Are there portals to hell? I don't know, but here's what we do know. Jesus spoke more about hell than he did about heaven. Hell is a real place, and the only way to stay away from it is to put your trust in his substitutionary sacrifice and have faith in him.
Devil's Gate Dam has long drawn the attention of curious paranormal enthusiasts, and its name says it all. Built in the 1920s, Devil's Gate Dam was the first flood control dam in Los Angeles County, with an eerie rocky formation shaped as the devil's head. It is said that the dam holds many tales about the paranormal involving demons, the occult, and portals to hell. This video is made for entertainment purposes only. For the past few decades, people have speculated that this gate is one of 7 portals to hell on Earth. Allegedly, during the 1940s, Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard believed that the dam held magical power and energy, and both conducted several dark ceremonies before deciding to perform a special ritual that would change the world. This ritual would create a moonchild, a sort of antichrist that would overthrow modern society and destroy all religions. They called it Babylon Working. People claim they opened a portal into hell, but no one knows for sure if the ritual created a moonchild. But what is for certain is what began occurring after this alleged ritual. In the 1950s, 2 young children went missing in the area of the dam. The police tried to find them, but the only thing they found were their bicycles. 1 year later, a little boy hiking with his family along the paths around the dam. As the family was walking together, the little boy decided he wanted to get ahead of the rest and sprinted in front of them. As he rounded a corner, he was never seen again. Police and search parties were sent out, but there was no luck finding the little boy. Many other stories similar to these have occurred ever since the alleged ritual. Some of the paranormal reports in the area have been encounters with moving shadows, strange eerie sounds, sudden attacks of anxiety, and orbs. Would you dare to visit the Devil's Gate Dam? For more videos, follow, like, and share. This month we'll be diving into the top 15 most haunted places in California, with Devil Gates Dam being number 15. Till next video, stay curious, friends.
Oh no, you won't catch me at no Devil's Gate Dam. Nope. How about you? Let me know in the comments down below. What about that face? It looks like the devil, even got a horn on the head. Crazy.
In 2003, the CIA released a classified document with the subject heading Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process, a process that utilizes audio frequencies to achieve brain hemisphere synchronization. In order to provide a thorough evaluation, the document covers the techniques of hypnosis, biofeedback, and transcendental meditation, thereby providing a modern scientific account of an ancient guarded knowledge of mankind's spiritual potential, a potential that could save humanity from the mind control tactics being used to divide and enslave us. The left brain is the mind's verbal and linear reasoning component. It categorizes and assigns meaning to incoming stimuli and passes this resulting information to the right brain, which is non-critical and accepts whatever information it is given without question. The left brain is the ego mind. It operates on autopilot and can be easily swayed by external stimuli. Most of us are unaware of this because we naturally tend to identify ourselves with the ego. We think that the ego is who we are, but in fact, it is just a part of our mental processing. The right brain is our subconscious mind, and hypnosis is a technique of directly accessing the subconscious by disengaging the ego, giving us self-awareness and control over the subconscious mind. Transcendental meditation achieves this by practicing single-minded concentration of drawing energy up from the base of the spinal cord and into the brain. With practice, this visual concentration eventually polarizes the cortex, bringing both hemispheres into balance, allowing the individual to transcend the ego mind. with biofeedback rather than suppressing the left brain as done with hypnosis or ignoring it as done with meditation. The practitioner programs the ego mind with visualization while monitoring the physiological response, thereby programming the subconscious mind by observing the results with real-time biological feedback. The gateway process, also known as hemisync, achieves this same goal by simply listening to specific audio frequencies that bring both hemispheres of the brain into synchronicity with one another. All of these practices, some of which have been taught for millennia, have been proven effective with modern scientific tools. The gateway process has been shown to bring the entire body into a coherent vibration of approximately 7 to 7.5 cycles per second, which then creates a resonance with the electrostatic field of the Earth. It is believed that this resonance is what allows the practitioner to transcend time and space, or in other words, allow their consciousness to leave the body without limitation. What we call physical matter is not solid at all. It is more like a highly advanced holographic image made up of different frequencies. What we experience as solid matter is actually the electromagnetic repulsion of certain frequencies, and this includes our own physical body. And so it is believed that the reason these practices work is because our consciousness is not being generated by our bodies, but rather our bodies are being generated by our consciousness. Physicists have proven that the physical world is energy and define time as a measurement of change within this energy. In order for energy to take form, it needs to be limited to a specific vibration. Energy at rest is uniformly extended without limit. It is everywhere at once. This is why humans are able to remote view, which is a term used by the military for their psychic training protocol, wherein they teach an individual to transcend space and time in order to gather information remotely. And this is how Mr. Guy Savelli was able to drop a goat from 100 feet away with his thoughts. But most importantly, the suppression of this knowledge is how the government is able to program your subconscious mind for you, without you even knowing it, and control what you perceive to be reality.
Shout outs to Greg Reese. He touched on something very familiar we've been talking about 2 videos ago, transcendental meditation, right? To ascend. Yo, some good stuff right here. It's crazy that, you know, they be trying to run experiments on stuff like this. But what you think? Let me know in the comments down below. This is highly fascinating stuff.
The yeas are 352, the nays are 65. The bill is passed.
This is not an attempt to ban TikTok. It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe, a winner.
We are in a Cold War with China, and some of my colleagues want to ignore this fact. We have legislation before us that is 12 pages long. The bill is not a ban. It forces foreign adversaries, including Chinese communists, to divest.
The TikTok ban passed, and more United States freedoms have been stripped away by these people, the House of Representatives. This house of thieves and liars have stolen our rights to free speech on an app because they say it's controlled by China. Even though TikTok has done Project Texas, which cost $1.5 billion, moving all of their servers from Singapore to the United States of America, where none of our information could ever possibly get back to ByteDance, which could possibly get to China. ByteDance is in China. I meant to the CCP. And yet when we voiced our concerns, when we called incessantly to our representatives to uphold 170 million Americans' rights of free speech, they shot it down. And yes, a lot of them have stocks in Facebook, lots of them. Is that insider trading? Yes. And even though their so-called favorite president wants to keep TikTok, they've all turned against him. Shocker, because, they lie to all of us. They've all turned against him to pass a ban. A lot of them have stocks in other social medias. Now we rely on the US Senate to stop this madness. Please, reach out to your senator. Tell them to stop the shutdown of TikTok. Tell the US senators that we want to keep our rights to free speech. Thank you.
Hey everybody, it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. here. I've been hearing a lot about the momentum in Congress to ban TikTok, and I want you to remember that every right that the government has ever taken away from citizens was removed under the pretense of national security. My father's favorite philosopher, Albert Camus, wrote that the welfare of the people is always the alibi of tyrants. And it provides further advantage of giving the servants of tyranny a clear conscience. Remember that when Congress gives Joe Biden the power to remove an app from your cell phone. Ironically, Joe Biden himself just joined TikTok. People love TikTok. It's the digital public square. If there are security concerns in the tech backend, let's address them there. But let's never reduce Americans' ability to freely exchange ideas. TikTok has become an avenue for young Americans to grow businesses, to express themselves, and to join the political discourse. In fact, my campaign found one of its key staffers on the TikTok platform. President Biden enjoys censoring and silencing those who dare question him. I know that because I just won a lawsuit in the Court of Appeals on that issue against him. So it's no surprise that he supports banning TikTok. The First Amendment should not be disregarded for any reason. We should be encouraging more discourse in this country instead of less. Americans can't rely on the big three networks to give them real information. As president, I'm going to fight for your free speech rights and for all Americans to have platforms in which to grow their businesses and express themselves. Don't you want that kind of president?
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you haven't already, please take a second just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we're gonna do, y'all. That's right. Run these numbers up. Thanks again. Until next time.